Hey boys and girls, sorry I missed yesterday. I got really busy and just, forgot all about Luke. Did you forget about Luke? I hope not. If you remember in chapter 15 that we just read, Luke had walked into the Sports family house unexpected. He actually broke in, if you remember, and he met the third child over there, and she turned out to be a girl by the name of Jen. And the last sentence we read in that chapter kind of let us hanging like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? If you remember, Jen said, "Luke Garner," she announced, "you have come to the right place. Forget that hiding like a mole stuff. I'm your ticket out." So, I wonder what Jen is going to provide for Luke. What kind of friend is Jen going to be? Let's read chapter 16 and see if we can find out more. "Want any more potatoes, Luke?" Mother offered that night at supper. "Luke," her voice got insistent. "Luke!" Luke jerked his attention back to his family. Mother was holding the bowl of mashed potatoes out to him. No," Luke said. "No, thanks. I still have some." "More for me," Mark crowed. Luke tuned them out again. He'd barely eaten his first serving of potatoes. He'd been so busy thinking about his secret visit to the Sports family house. He couldn't believe he dared to even go. Just the thought of his run through the yard made his heart beat fast, remembering the fear and the pride. He'd really done it. And then meeting Jen was amazing. There was no other word for it. He was so overwhelmed with wonder at everything he'd seen at her house, everything she told him, that he started to say, "Did you know that, Jen?" But then stopped at the last minute. He clamped his teeth shut, holding his words in. He thought he'd burst. He could feel his face blush red with the effort of keeping still. He bent his head low over his plate so nobody could see. How could he ever manage to keep Jen's secret? But he had to, because if he told, they'd forbid him to go back. And he just had to go back. "We'll set up a signal," Jen had said, "something I can see." "But you don't have vents to look out like I do," Luke protested. "You can't look out the windows." "Oh, when the mirrors work, it's not a problem. Look." She took him over to a window near the sliding glass door and showed him a mirror that reflected a wide view of the Talbots' backyard and the landscape beyond. It showed just the corner of the Garner's barn, and when Jen turned it a bit, the entire Garner house came into view. Luke wondered if his parents could set up the same kind of system. Then he looked at the mirror again and decided it might be expensive. And anyway, how would he explain where he'd gotten the idea? "So let's see," Jen said. "A signal. I've got it. How about if I look out every morning at 9, and if you come over, you shine a flashlight at me. I'll shine one back if everything's safe." "We don't have flashlights," Luke said. "Not that work, I mean." Jen frowned. "Why not?" "We haven't had any batteries in, 4 or 5 years, Luke explained. In fact, he felt proud even to remember what a flashlight was. Okay, Jen said. "No flashlight, no computer." "Oh, we have a computer," Luke said. "My parents do, and I think it still works, but it's in Dad's office in the front of the house, and I'm not allowed in there. And anyhow, I'd never be allowed to touch the computer." He remembered once when he was very young, maybe 3 or 4, and he'd follow Mother into Dad's office while she was cleaning. The rows of letters on the computer keyboard had looked like a toy to him, and he touched one finger and tapped the space bar over and over again. Mother had turned around and freaked out. "They can find you now," she screamed, "if they were watching." And for weeks after that, she'd hidden him even more carefully than ever, locking him in his room when she had to go outside. Jen rolled her eyes. "Don't tell me your family believes that government propaganda stuff," she said. "They've spent so much money trying to convince people that they can monitor all the TVs and computers. You know that they couldn't have afforded to actually do it." "You know what, they couldn't have afforded to actually do it, but I've been using our computer since I was 3 and watching TV too, and they've never caught me. How about a candle?" "What?" It took Luke a minute to realize what she was talking about, the signal again. The candles, they're all in the kitchen and I'm not allowed, she mimicked the words as he said them, to go in there. They've got you on an awful short leash, don't they? She asked. No, I mean, yes, but they're just trying to protect me. Jen shook her head. Yeah, I've heard that one. Ever hear of disobeying? She asked. Luke started defensively. I'm here, aren't I? Jen laughed. Got me. But listen, if you can't do candles or a flashlight, how about just turning on a light that I can see? Luke was quicker this time, figuring out that she was still talking about the signal. The one by the back door, Luke said. You can't miss it. He wasn't allowed to turn that on either, but he didn't dare say, not allowed again. Now Luke toyed with his mashed potatoes. His entire conversation with Jen had been like that. She mocked, he defended, but she always got her way. Of course, he defended her to himself. She knew and had seen so much more than him. After he'd finished his story on the couch, she told him hers. First, she said defiantly, my parents had me on purpose 13 years ago. Mom already had Bull and Braun from her first marriage. Your brothers? Luke asked. Yeah, Bluton and Brownlee. Really, but what kind of names are those for knuckleheads like them? Mom was going through some snobbish upper-class phase with her husband number one. She's had more than one husband? Luke asked. He didn't know that was possible. Luke found that so confusing, he just kept his mouth shut. Anyhow, Jen said, Mom was dying to have a little girl, so when she and husband number two got together, she went and paid some doctor lots of money so she could have me. What if you'd been a boy? Luke asked. Oh, they got in on the beginning of that gender selection experiment. Luke must have given Jen a particular blank look because she explained. That means that they made sure that she was having a girl. Doctors can do that, you know, but the government outlawed the procedure because they were afraid it'd throw the population even more out of whack. I'm sure my parents paid a lot for it. Were your mom and dad trying for a girl? Luke thought about it.